James Gunn possibly fired when Warner Bros. Discovery is sold. Let's talk about it.
Alright, let's get into it. So, this article comes from Cosmic Book News, and the article reads, James Gunn out at DC with Warner Bros. Discovery sale. Alright, so, let's see. I'm not going to read the whole article. I'm going to read the relevant portions of it, so that way we can just get into the crux of it. With Superman reportedly bombing financially and with Peacemaker Season 2 flopping with fans, I reached out to my insiders about the state of the DCU under James Gunn. The short of it is that James Gunn will be out as the head of DCU with the WBD sale. I'm told that David Ellison of Skydance, Paramount buys Warner Bros. Discovery, that Mike DeLuca will be in charge of DC and do a completely new start. Right? Gunn recently said that he is doing whatever he wants with DC. That sounded odd to me, as if you are building a new universe. You would want it to be successful with the fans. That's not happening as both Creature Commandos and Peacemaker failed to chart on Nielsen. They don't have a big audience. Gunn's claims that Peacemaker Season 2 was meant to be a sequel to his Superman movie was pure BS. Superman also failed to resonate with the international fans, as its box office also came in under Zack Snyder's Man of Steel by a large margin. Gunn's approach to the DCU has been all about divisive messaging and splitting the fan base. I'm of the opinion that Gunn is doing whatever he wants with DC because his days are numbered and he knows it. So he's getting himself, all his friends, and his wife big paychecks before Warner Bros. Discovery sells. That means when a sale goes through, James Gunn is out. So I reached out to my Hollywood insiders. Here's what I'm told. Recently saw the big news that Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy resigned with Warner Bros. In Deadline's report, they basically said that it was because of the sale of Warner Bros. Discovery. David Ellison is looking to purchase Warner Bros. Discovery, so Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav is putting people in place that Ellison wants. That means Ellison wants DeLuca and Pam Abdy in charge of Warner Bros. Films. You'll notice that Gunn has pivoted from his planned Gods and Monsters storyline into what he calls his Superman family saga. The Superman family is all Gunn. The Gods and Monsters storyline is likely ditched because Gunn knows he can only get a select amount of movies out before the sale. I've been told the reason why DCU projects have been stalling is because of Gunn's interference. The filmmakers want their own vision and not Gunn's. I'm told that most visionary directors in Hollywood are staying away from not only DC but Marvel and Star Wars because, quote, because life is too short and everyone is looking for original properties. I'm told Zack Snyder is happy doing his original stuff, but would only return to DC for one last movie, an adaptation of the Dark Knight Returns. Okay, I'm told if Warner Brothers gets sold, that whoever buys it wants a completely new start. While it is reported that Skydance is eyeing to purchase Warner Bros. Discovery, I'm told Universal, Comcast is still in the mix. I know they've been eyeing Warner Bros. Discovery for years. What I am told if David Ellison buys Warner Bros. Discovery is that James Gunn will be out. So Peacemaker isn't getting to season 3. I think this is obvious at this point. And Gunn lied about a family-friendly approach to DC. I'm told that actually, quote, nobody in the building knows his status except for Gunn himself. But his actions speak as to what might happen. Again, it's obvious. Gunn has said it himself. He's doing whatever he wants with DC. It's because with the sale, his DCU will be dead. Back to David Ellison. I'm told Mike DeLuca will take over DC. Recall how my insiders told you about the real ending of The Flash, which is something Gunn completely changed. DeLuca wanted to bring back Zack Snyder's DCEU, which would have in part led to the return of Henry Cavill as Superman, the return of Ben Affleck as Batman, with a Batman multi-universe happening. That all got scrapped when Gunn took over the DCU. I'm of the opinion that Gunn knew about the eventual sale of Warner Bros. Discovery, and that Zaslav handed him over the reins and gave him the ability to do whatever he wants before the sale. They just wanted DC content out there to make the sale of Warner Bros. Discovery look better. Back to DeLuca and DC. I'm told he won't be bringing back the Snyderverse, as everyone, in quotes, has moved on. He'll be starting a new DCU universe under Dave Ellison and Skydance, and he's getting it all out there before the sale. Okay, so these are my thoughts. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna start first with the Zaslav Gunn portion of this article, because I don't know if this is true or not, but certain parts of it are that ring true to the reality. If this is true, this means that David Zaslav and James Gunn knowingly and intentionally sabotaged the DCU to make it look good for a sale, which means basically this was all one big distraction. These last 3 years have been a distraction. Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, Superman was all fake. All these things are trying to convince trying to use the shield wall, every entertainment outlet, trying to lie about what was a win, why it was a win, stalling the Batman Part 2. All of this has been for a sale. As I said in my other video, it also seems like they've been doing this for the last 3 years. So this has been one big hustle, or one big play to one big okie doke, which is what I've been saying for a while. And this shows the fact is that David Zaslav and James Gunn pulled out one giant smoke and mirrors, and basically fooled their shields and fooled the cultists into believing that they had to use them to prop them up for a win. The very fact that they actually they sabotaged the DCU to try to make it sound like that everybody make it sound like the people who like Zack Snyder's films, who also like the other films. This means the fact is that this is going to do something to Warner Brothers Discovery's reputation as Warner Brothers as a whole, as well as DC, because for them to use this as an excuse to this whole bait and switch. He intentionally brought up a show where he intentionally sabotaged Superman for his own ends. He intentionally misled the cast to believe that this was actually going to prolong it into something else, and he intentionally misled people with Peacemaker and Creature Commandos to believe that this was going to lead into something beneficial. He has been lying and lying and lying. He has a podcast where he lies. The content surrounding around Peacemaker is a lie. So he has done whatever he wants to do because he can afford to do it, and he has been lying since day one. That needs to be said. He is a liar. That also means that David Zaslav is a liar. And on top of that, they're going to be taking the money and running with it, because James Gunn is going to be out, according to this article. He's going to be out as soon as the sale as soon as the sale goes through. And David Zaslav is trying to get a so-called golden parachute at the end, because he may not have a job at the end of this, right? Because there's not going to be because I don't think that there's going to be a role for him. But the whole point that he has actually sabotaged the DCU for their own financial gains, and the fact is that this is as much as they want to look at it as a business decision, this is just, to me, I find this to be very misleading. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm not sticking around for another reboot of the DCU. I'm not interested in that. There's no point in that. You just fire. For one, it's not even so much as a firing as opposed to you gave James Gunn limited authority to do whatever he wants to do. After he went on a press tour, lying and pretending that he doesn't know who and what he is, and you have people actually out there defending him. Guess what? He hustled you. He played you. And now Peacemaker is just a final nail in the coffin to let you know this is how bad that this has gotten. This is how bad of a liar he is. You guys actually defended a liar. If this article is true, that means he took you guys for fools, as opposed to us that actually pointed this out. Because this shows the fact is that there are no morals. There is no morals and no values here. He went ahead and just misled everybody. And like the article suggested, that means Gods and Monsters was all just a ploy to pretend that he knew that he had a plan. Turns out there was no plan, and the ever-changing slate about what he wanted to do, it just has been a lie. He's been lying for 3 years, probably 3 years or more. He's been lying. He sabotaged Hamada's movies for no reason. There was no if he knew that there was going to be a sale, why did he sabotage Hamada's movies? They were no threat to you. There's nothing to compare it to. Why did you sabotage those movies? Why did you rewrite? Why did you put in notes for The Flash? Why did you take out Ben Affleck's Batman scene in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom? Why was that a threat to you? That means you didn't have to do that. You just used your authority because he was petty and he was intimidated. And it also shows to the level of below mediocrity below mediocre that he is, because he showed everything to be a threat to him. And he messed with projects that had nothing to do with him, and he had nothing to offer on top of that. Which also shows that if he had the authority to do this, that means he would never mess you up anyway. So all of this has been one big ploy. This is proof that what we've been saying before, because the real test of this is the fact is David Zaslav and James Gunn went out and lied for over 3 years. Lied about the success of these films and shows, lied about what they were trying to do, lied about all these priorities that they had, about what they were going to fast track and what they were going to make a priority. All these projects have been lies. They've been lies. They've been one big ploy, one big bait and switch for a paycheck so he can cash out. And they knew it all along, which is why Superman was overloaded with multiple characters. The other portion I would like to cover with this is why I preferred the Netflix buy, or probably the Comcast buy, over the Paramount buy, because I don't see this being a good option for the DCU fans. I don't. If he decides to rewrite the map, if he decides to separate and clear the board, that means that there will be no Snyderverse, as the article suggests, and Mike DeLuca, maybe there might be a small window of opportunity for Mike DeLuca to be able to have the authority to be able to do what he wants to do. But if he pulls the exact same thing as Zaslav, because that's why I say I don't see this being any different. If he does this thing, he might have a tiny budget, he might do everything for cheap, and you might have him do that. That's what I'm thinking. But Mike DeLuca is a comic book fan. Hopefully, there's a small window of opportunity to be able to get back what was there. But again, it just doesn't look good, and I'm not really on board with another reboot. I'm kind of like rebooted out, and the very fact that they knew that Zaslav and Gunn knew what they were doing, it doesn't leave the window open for the opportunity for somebody to cash in on the fact that there is a big, huge following to get there's a big, huge following for you to be able to, for the Ellisons to get millions to billions back. So to say that they've moved on, I don't remember anybody just fully moving on. If the check's big enough, I'm pretty sure you can keep them on board. That's what I'm saying. And it ain't like they can't afford it. So I know the Ellisons are pretty much about the bottom line. So hopefully they consider that, and they actually think about that along with Mike DeLuca, because I do believe with Mike DeLuca, he knows he's good at being able to detect talent. He discovered David S. Goyer, and he's a big comic book fan. So hopefully he's whenever he makes decisions, he's considering us in his favor to make sure that talent and the bottom line is prioritized. But those are my thoughts at the moment. That's all I got so far. Remember to like and subscribe. I want to know what you think. Be respectful in the comments. Hit that notification bell so you'll be aware when I upload new videos. And until the next video, peace.